What's going on with that PPP? You done a lot of talking, not a lot to see. Up in the millions like 2.3, but Jeff got it all, getting off scot-free. Try to talk tips like we talking about stock, but you're talking about men printed on called stock. When you open your mouth, I take it with a grain of salt, cause the market's down and you're a clown, it's all your fault. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. Did you dip, Jeff? I think you dipped, Jeff. What you talking about? I don't think you dipped yet. Willie's doing shady shit like the GOBs, like his whole failed thing with them NFTs, taking money from the people to pay. Most of them are broke, but that's okay, he's getting money. Even better, tax-free, loving all the stimulus from PPP. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit.
Play that back, DJ. Play that back.
One more time.
Jeff's lawyers let us play this.
B-side on the beat.
It's part of the agreement. Settlement. Jeff sent me this too.
What's going on with that PPP? You done a lot of talking,
I heard he had a lot of them.
To see. Up in the millions like 2.3, but Jeff got it all, getting off scot-free. Try to talk tips like we talking about stock, but you're talking about men printed on called stock. When you open your mouth, I take it with a grain of salt, cause the market's down and you're a clown, it's all your fault. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. Did you dip, Jeff? I think you dipped, Jeff. What you talking about? I don't think you dipped yet. Willie's doing shady shit like the GOBs, like his whole failed thing with them NFTs, taking money from the people to pay. Most of them are broke, but that's okay, he's getting money. Even better, tax-free, loving all the stimulus from PPP. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit.
How's it going?
What is going on, everybody? Hopefully, guys are doing well out there. We are back again here on Sports Card Radio Live. We've got a special guest joining us today, none other than CBLEZ, who has a shirt on tonight. CBLEZ, thank you for joining us tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Just to let everybody know, I've been asked to come on here for a long time. Finally on here. I'm glad to be here, and we'll chop it up, see what happens.
We'll chop it up. On today's schedule, we have to discuss the beef that we've discussed here on the show and see where that stands with Santiago Sports. I know he intimidates you quite a bit with his man purse and his gold-plated chains. So we'll have to talk about where that stands. We'll also talk about a little bit of group ranking as well. I know that you kind of flew onto our radar. You, were very much a defender, or at least you believed that Backyard Breaks doesn't get loaded cases. So we'll have to talk about that and see where you stand on that issue heading into today. And then we'll also talk about your business. I'm seeing you buying 4 or 5, not always 6-figure cards, but I'm seeing you buying some heavy hitting type of cards. And Ryan and I are wondering where that cheddar is coming from. So we got to talk about your business and what you got going on over there. Ryan, why don't you kick things off as we are again joined by none other than CBLEZ.
CBLEZ, I think we should just start things off with something we've talked about on this show, your beef with Santiago Sports. You guys played in a basketball game. I believe it was at the Culture Collision show in Atlanta. And you had a little skirmish at the end of a basketball game where a double technical foul was called on you. and Santiago. That beef from the basketball game kind of spilled over onto Instagram. You made some posts about it. Santiago Sports also made some posts about it. Can you just fill people in, maybe kind of what happened and maybe where the beef with Santiago stands presently to this day? Like, do you have a fight scheduled? Like, what is the beef still going on? Have you seen him since? Kind of fill people in on what's happened.
Of course, yeah. So first off, there was a little pre-story to that where he made fun of me on I used to do a card thought of the day and just like write out a paragraph on what's like trending in the hobby, stuff like that. And I'm a very honest person. My writing is not that good, like my actual English. And he used to make fun of me for that. I used to like write like greater than, but I would do it the wrong way. And it's like that's just kind of how my brain works. I'm not like I'm better with video. I'm better speaking. So
Sure.
he was making fun of me for that. And then we had the basketball game and he chucked the ball at my back. I wasn't even looking. But honestly, I don't really want to like continue the beef. Like
Okay.
it kind of stopped a little bit. And
Okay.
you guys kind of brought it back to life by talking about it. You posted a clip where he like went off. But honestly, it's like I'm not a hater. I'm a lover. I love the hobby. I love to just progress and see better things in the industry. And I think that like me fighting with Santiago, although it's real and although like I don't really like him, it's like there's no need for people to like see this on a public forum anymore. It's like if you want to ask me a question to my face, I'll be glad to tell you the answer. But I don't really want to keep it going because I have a lot of kids that follow me. I have a lot of people that look up to me in the industry. And I'm not trying to give the image or perception that I'm a guy that if you say one thing, like I'm going to fight. I think everybody who followed me for a long time pretty much knows that I'm very positive and I like to grow the hobby and I like to just do good things. But if you're going to say something that's attacking my person, if you guys noticed, I didn't really say anything about him personally. It was more about like his brand, more about like his actions. I wasn't like attacking his person. And when he said what he said about me attacking my person, whether it's true or not, that's something that I'm just not going to stand for. And that's something that I think is completely disrespectful. It's like when you look at sports or you look at content in the world or anything, when you attack someone's person, that's not right to me. It's like you talk about what happens on the playing field, you talk about what happens what we say on Instagram or whatever, but you can't talk about like the stuff that he was talking about. I think most people in here know about what he said. I really don't want to like shine light on it, but it was just completely disrespectful. But honestly, I'm going to be the bigger man in this situation, and I know that he's whatever. I just don't want to continue going down that path with him because it doesn't do any good for the hobby, and it's just something that doesn't really need to be talked about anymore, honestly.
Have you seen him? Have you seen him or talked to him on social media in any kind of way to clear the air?
I really don't want to talk to him, to be honest, because of what he said. It just like it didn't like hurt me, but it's just like completely, utterly ridiculous what he said. I was at the Tops conference in Arizona, and he was there, but we really didn't talk. We didn't talk at all, and he could come and apologize to me if he wants, but this is not something that. I mean, it's just I don't stand for what he said as a person. This isn't even about cards at this point. It's more about like a person to a person. And the other thing here is going off topic. I just want to let the audience know that you guys can ask me whatever you want. I'm not going to like any question is fair game. I just want everybody watching to know that I'm not going to shy away from any question. You could ask me whatever you want.
So you don't have any interest in fighting him anymore. That's all out the window. You've moved on. The beef is over with Santiago. That's kind of what you're saying.
I mean, it's just non-existent. Like, it's just like, it's not like over or continuing. It's more of just like, I'm doing my thing. He could do his thing. And it's like, if something happens, I don't anticipate anything happening, but as of now, there's no fight. There's no continuing. It's just silent on my end.
I've got a question about the Tops conference. You were at the Tops conference, and I saw a lot of your Instagram posts. Looks like you were having a fantastic time at the. It was like last week or the week before in Arizona, and it was a first time of venue. I believe they took it to the Arizona Diamondbacks Stadium. Was that your first time going to the Tops conference?
No, I've actually been for the past like 5-6 years.
You've been for the past 5-6 years. What was your, give everybody kind of an idea on, what's your goal when you go there, and what do you get out of it as somebody that's in this hobby, both as, I guess you could say, a quote influencer, but also a businessman as well.
So the Tops conference is pretty much to like educate everybody on what's going on, like in terms of this upcoming year for 2023. I think in the past it's been more talking about just like smaller stuff, but now it's I think it holds more weight. I think the Tops conference is something that if you're on the business side of the industry, it's very good to go to because things are happening, changing rapidly. So it's something that you want to keep up with the news and kind of see what's going on. So for me, when I go there, I like to just soak it all in. It's also good because you have a lot of the people on the business end of the hobby there, as opposed to like a card show or opposed to something else where those people may or may not come. You might see some of them, but this is more concentrated of an area of people who are actually in the business of sports cards. So I like to go and like talk to those people, network a little bit, and just honestly I always try to have fun with anything I do because I like to smile. I like to have fun because life's short. So.
Were the freebies any good? Because I know I went last year. I got 2 J-Rod autos and several other cards, some F1 cards. That the total value was well in excess of at least the cost to get in. If you throw in hotel and travel, honestly, it was pretty darn close. It wasn't that, it was like almost a break-even trip from the freebies that you got. What was the swag like this year at the event?
It was definitely up from previous years. They gave
Wow.
away, there was 3 packs with like an encased autograph of like better players. Usually when they make sets for like these events, they won't put in like the lower end of the checklist on most products. They just put like the top half in. So that's something that I really like is they had 3 autographs like packaged up. You didn't know who you were getting. I actually did a pack war, but they gave away sunglasses. Everybody got a pair of Ray-Bans. They gave away, they do giveaways throughout the event. I'm sure you guys know where they just give away random stuff. The thing that I like a lot is they had Corbin Carroll on the opening night. He's like the second best prospect in baseball right now. And every year, what they do is on the opening night of the event, they always have like a guy who's like been in the majors barely, or a guy who's going to come up and supposedly be one of the best players. So that's always one of the most fun events for me is the first night, getting to meet whatever stud prospect it's going to be that year, because I'm like a prospector when I buy cards. So it's like, I like the younger players a lot more than the older players, if that makes sense.
Okay, let's dive into that. We'll get back into some drama in a second, but I see you showing off your Franz Wagner collection. I hope I said his name right. Really talented player for the Orlando Magic. For people that don't know, it's got a really nice young team there. He's a really actually kind of a nice player. You show off these cards all the time of this guy. First of all, how much money do you have into your Franz Wagner collection, and what was the thought process behind doing that, behind starting your collection of him?
So I probably have I would say somewhere between 50 and 75,000 invested in him. And I like to go off eye tests. Like, I'm a diehard basketball fan, diehard football fan. And I used to watch a ton of college basketball. It's a little bit tougher these days with so much going on in the hobby. But I literally watch so many games, especially like the past 10 years of my life. And I'll see players and I'm like, there's certain things that I look for to see if I want to invest in them. Like, you always got to have a jumper. You always got to have size. Like, I think, honestly, besides Steph Curry, he's an anomaly to the rule. But in my opinion, if you're not like 6'6" or taller, you're fighting an uphill battle. It's like being a 6-foot quarterback. It's just a lot tougher for those people. So it's like, I like when you have a jumper, when you have size, when you can get to the rim, when you can dribble, when you can pick and roll, when you can do all those things. And I also want to see continuous growth. If you look at Franz Wagner at Michigan, Michigan is more of like a team. The way they play, it's more of like a team game. That's like how most of
Sure.
college is. So it's kind of tough to see if a player is going to get a lot better. And the other thing about college basketball, too, is the court's a lot smaller. So it favors smaller players. If you're
Okay.
like a 7-foot wing in college, you don't really have the space to operate. And that's what
Sure.
the NBA is predicated on. It's predicated on big people having opportunity to like do stuff. So I like Trey Young. He's a lot better in the NBA than he was in college. He's not having the best year now, but the game is different from college to the NBA. So I look at players that I think the NBA is more suited for their style of game versus college.
Okay, so you have quite a bit of money. You said 50 to 75K into Franz. Are you actively selling him as well, or are you just accumulating? And then if you're not selling, when is your trigger to sell Franz Wagner? Is it years later? Is it like what's your thought process? You have a lot of money invested to him. What's the exit strategy?
So pretty much in 2018, 2019, I invested a ton into Luka Doncic. But the
Okay.
problem was I did very well. But if I held some of the cards longer, I would have done a lot better. And it's like this is something that's happened to me in the past where I pick guys and I would sell them in year 2 because I'm up, let's say 40, 50%. But then it's like I'm missing the boat on the true upside to go up like 4 or 5x. So with Franz, it's like I probably want to keep a lot of his better cards. I haven't sold one card of him yet, but he's honestly gone up a lot in price in the last like 4 or 5 months. I don't know why, but if I could like double my money on a player, I'm probably going to sell some of the worst cards in my collection in order to free roll the better cards, if that makes sense.
Okay, so how do you keep this? You've got this money tied up into Franz. How do you keep this train, train rolling? Are you working for a hedge fund and you got money coming in? Like how do you keep this investment going so that you don't have to unload these Franz cards, or do you have is your other card business paying for this? How does the money, just for people watching who might be interested in kind of doing something similar to you? How do you keep the money kind of coming in to keep buying nice Franz Wagner cards?
Well, I do have a breaking business in sports cards, CBLEZ sports cards that I'm associated with. And I've also done amazing with singles in the past 4 or 5 years. It's like one of my biggest things in singles is raw to grade because I believe that it creates so much opportunity for a margin. When you're buying like a PSA graded slab, you need player performance or you need the market to go up. But when you're buying like $100 card raw and you could grade it and possibly get 350 if it gets a 10, it's like I just look at that as upside and opportunity to do well. So I'm trying to like that's what I did a lot in 2018, 2019. It wasn't really about the condition of the card. It was more like a mathematical play. It's like if you go 30% getting PSA 10s on like mid-range cards, you were just printing money. You could honestly probably even go 15, 20%. One of the general rules of thumb is if you could get a PSA 9 and break even with the grading cost plus the cost of the card, you're making a lot of money. Because if you get a 10, you're making 3x on the card. So if you could get a PSA 9 and you're actually breaking even, that's the spot where you want to press hard and just grade as many cards as you can.
So you're presently doing that now. You'll buy raw cards, send them in, and just essentially try to hit a certain percentage of 10s. The 9s or less, you're just gonna whatever. Those are a wash essentially, and the margin there is in those 10s because there's such a gap up in the 10s. Is that what you're saying?
It's a little bit different now. You got to be a little bit more selective, a little bit more picky on the condition, but
Okay.
it's something that's more available to do as the grading costs have come down in the past like year. It's something that I'm doing more now as opposed to like, let's say 2021, where the grading cost was like 100 minimum. You need the
Sure.
grading cost to be low and you need the return time to not be like crazy. And that, cause it's like,
Sure.
you always want the cards to be in your hands. It's like when you send cards to grading companies, if it takes 6 months, 8 months, it's like that's time where you can't make a decision with your card. But if it takes 2, 3 months and you know that those cards are coming back pretty quickly, it just leaves. It's like, I don't know what I want to do with these cards. I might want to sell them. I might want to keep them. I might want to trade them. I don't know. But what I do know is I want the cards in my hand so I can make a decision on them.
And where are you selling these cards? Where do you like to sell these cards typically when you move in cards?
It depends. Like, I could sell, if I know the trajectory of a card, if I think it's going to go down, I'll usually go to a card show, try to get cash, try to maybe take a little bit less money. I'll take 85%, 80%, because if I sell a card on eBay and I think it's heading down, I don't want to run the risk of somebody returning. I don't want to run the risk of them not paying, and then you just have to relist it, wait another 10 days plus another 7 days for the auction. It's like, it depends on the situation. Like, if I had Jordan Walker cards right now, which I actually have one big one, I might be inclined to auction that card because you have a little bit of a window before baseball starts. He's the favorite to win NL Rookie of the Year, and it just depends. It's always case by case. I also like to sell cards on social media sometimes I like to sell in different avenues. Like, I like to use 4 or 5 different avenues just to keep all the juices flowing a little bit in all those different avenues.
Where are you buying the raw cards? Are you are you hunting these down on eBay? You getting on auctions? You going to shows? Like, like the strategy of buying a quality card, hoping to hit 9s and 10s on it. Where are you acquiring these cards?
Today it's a lot tougher than it used to be. It used to be pretty easy to just go to a show, go to a shop, or buy online. I would say when I would buy, like, that makes the line for me. It's like, you have to think how much, like, is a person willing to grade this card? And if the card's like $200-300, it's like the person who pulled it is probably going to look it over, and they're probably going to assume that they're going to tell whether it's good to grade or not to grade. But when you're buying a $20 card, most people, they're just going to sell it just to recoup some money. They're not going to actually look at the condition of the card and grade it because they don't really think there's much upside to making money. So the bar used to be like $200-300. I would buy all these raw cards and not even really look and just send them in. But now you have to go even cheaper. It's like you could buy $20, $30, $50 cards, grade them, and turn them into 200. But the places that I go to buy these cards, it's tougher than it used to be. But I like to buy on eBay a lot. I like to buy at card shows a lot. Social media, it's a little tough, but I do buy on there. But I don't like the continuous back and forth. People just like, oh, like, I want to sell this for more. Like, I like to get deals done. I like to, like, make things happen. And it's like, I'm not willing to go back and forth for days on a card that's worth $100. It's like, sell me the card or not. It's like, it's that simple for me. I don't want to, like, do all this back and forth nonsense when it's like, if it's a multi-$1,000 card, it's like, then there's more negotiations, there's more, like, risk there, and then I'll take more time to decide. But if you want to scale, like, I've seen you guys talk about buying more in your content. If you're trying to scale, every minute, every dollar, this stuff matters. It's like, you can't just waste 2 hours talking about a card that's $100. Not because $100 is a lot of money or not, just because it's opportunity cost. You need to go buy something else if they're not going to sell you that card in the given time that you want to buy it.
Who do you grade with when you're sending these cards in?
I use PSA, I use Beckett, I use SGC. The other companies, I'm just not really comfortable grading with them, because I'm like an old school hobbyist at heart. And when I was a kid, Beckett was #1 the whole time. PSA has been #1 in the past few years. SGC's graded some high-end vintage. I don't really do much vintage, but I'm gaining respect for SGC and the things they've done in the last 6 to 18 months. So I'm fine using them. I've sent in probably 1,000 cards to SGC, but in my life, I've used mostly Beckett and then PSA in the last, like, few years.
CBLEZ, jumping back to kind of the drama, you're kind of a polarizing guy. You've got a lot of fans, obviously. I'm sure you know that, and I'm sure sometimes you could probably scroll through either your Instagram comments or your YouTube comments, and people are being negative towards you. And we talked about the Santiago Sports incident where he was being negative towards you for one reason or the other. How do you just feel about that in general, putting yourself out there on camera like you do? How do you feel about kind of the negative responses or comments that you get on social media?
I mean, it's interesting. It's like, I don't know. It used to be. I'm more of like a true card guy, you know. It's not like social media to me. I love it, and I've done a lot in the past few years, learning and studying and just trying to do good things. But it's not. It's like, if they're going to attack my person, I don't like that. But if they're going to talk about, like, I'm just me. Like, my content is me. I'm not playing a character. This is me. So it's like, if you're going to make fun of me for being myself, like, that's fine. Like, I really don't care. It's like, you can do whatever you want. But I'm just trying to, like, show younger collectors. I'm trying to show kids. I'm trying to inspire people. I'm trying to motivate. I'm trying to make people smile. And I believe that when you are yourself and when you put stuff out there and you're not afraid to just be out there, it's really, it can help. I get a lot of DMs, a lot of messages, people saying how much they love the content, how much they smile when they're watching the videos, people in the hospital, people sick, people depressed. And they're like, your content makes me smile. And when I hear that stuff, there's nothing I love more, to be honest, because it's like, it's more about just like the love of the hobby. That's like what the number one thing is for me. It's because the hobby's done so well for me in the past 4 or 5 years, and in the past 20 years being a collector on that side of it. It's like, I honestly want to repay back to the hobby and just do my part of what I can to make it just a better place overall. It's just, people can hate, people can love. And I learned in the past few years that, like, when someone praises you, don't get too high on the praise. And when someone hates on you, don't get too low on the hate. You kind of want to be more in the middle, and just, because what does praise really do? It's like, you get praised. It's like, you still got to go out there tomorrow and make another video or do something else. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's not really like, you got to just keep doing what you're good at and keep doing it, because if you stop for 4 or 6 months, it's like, people might be on to the next thing. So you kind of got to just keep going, put your head down, and just focus.
Speaking of videos, you had, I think you made me smile when you were in the Cosmopolitan. Actually, I used to live, I don't know if you knew this, I used to live actually next door to the Cosmopolitan. So I've been in there many times. I think I actually know the actual lounge you were in dancing. Can you talk about that situation? Have you been back to the Cosmopolitan? Do I need to call down there and see what's going on down there and get you back in? Just tell people about that situation. And have you and the Cosmo, which I believe is owned by the MGM now, cleared up any beef that you have because of your dancing in shame on a man dancing in Las Vegas, but the floor is yours. What happened in that situation?
Basically, I went to the Cosmo. It was like midnight. I was with my brothers and some friends. We had a table, and I when I'm at like a club, or it's not necessarily a club, it's a lounge, but like when I'm out, I like to have a good time, and just like, I'm a feel person. If I feel like I want to dance and have a good time, that's what I'm going to do. And the bouncer comes up to me. He's like, oh, like, you're acting weird. Like, these girls are complaining, or like, it's like, dude, you're just making up stuff because I'm having a good time and you're upset. It's like, in my opinion, I didn't even get kicked out. I left on my own terms because I was not pleased with the way they were treating me. It's almost like they only see dollar signs, like at these clubs. It's like, if you're not spending like a ton of money, they're not going to treat you with the respect. I think that's how Vegas kind of is. But it's like, to me, be a good person, show that you care. And I mean, I don't know. I don't like when people go out these days and it's like, you go with the people you came with and you sit with them, and you're just going to not interact with any other human beings at the place. Like, what fun is that? Why don't we just stay home and hang out with the people and not pay any money to hang out? It's like, if I go out I want to mingle with other people. I want to get to know other people. I like hearing stories, where people come from, what they're doing, why they're in Vegas, what's going on. And it's like the bouncer just completely shut that off. And then as I'm leaving, the hostess was like, "Oh, like we're so sorry, like we're so sorry." I'm like, "Why are you sorry? You're the ones in the wrong. Like you're gonna be sorry to me because I'm leaving on my own terms when you're being completely and utterly ridiculous and you're just telling me I can't have a good time." I was Another thing I didn't say on Instagram. I was sitting on the couch. I'm like, if there's a couch, I'm sitting on the top of it, not like on the
Okay.
actual couch.
Right.
And the bouncer's like, "Oh, like, why don't you sit down normal on the couch?" I'm like, if you're going to restrict me in all these different ways, I'm just going to leave because I could go and have a better time somewhere else. Under these conditions, these restraints, it's like, I'm not down for that. It's fine.
I wanted to ask you about backyard breaks. I think that was the first time you got on our grid, and I wanted to, revisit back to that. I know that you're in the breaking business, and so what do you think about the situation there? I think we've seen Nikki Rips, who seemed to be a prominent member of that group. It looks like he's kind of moved on to his own thing. So what are you thinking about backyard breaks as we've had time to reflect on their last 365 days? That has, I wouldn't say really been a roller coaster. It's really been kind of just an uphill climb for them. And then, like many businesses, they're going to face some challenges going forward from a staffing perspective, from kind of keeping the band together, if you will. And the allocations certainly haven't been as profitable over the past couple of months, as well as the football products hasn't been as good and things like that. What's your thoughts now, looking back on the many situations, but in particular, whether or not they get loaded cases, why they continue to hit big cards, those types of things?
First off, I want to say that I do not believe in juice cases. I don't think that that's a thing. And it's a matter of what products do you rip. And it's like, they rip a lot of the high end product, and it's like it's a mathematical equation. If you rip more high end product, you're going to pull more bigger cards. At BLEZ Sports Cards, we rip almost every product. There's nothing that we're going to shy away from because we want to give all collectors the true experience of the hobby, whether they want Top Series 1, whether they want Dynasty, whether they want National Treasures, whether they want the basketball product that just came out, Donruss Basketball. We rip that. So for us at BLEZ, we rip almost every product. At Backyard, what I've noticed is they rip more of the high end because I think they're trying to pull these chase cards that the whole hobby is chasing. Let's say the triple logo man. Let's say the Luca Black. I know they're ripping 1819 Prism right now. But in my opinion, if you grow the hobby, if you bring in a new audience that wasn't here before, that is good enough for me. And I think that should be good enough for all you at home, because what do we all want at the end of the day? We want a great hobby. We want it to grow. We want people who aren't in it now to find it and love it. And I think Backyard has taken a different approach to a lot of what they do. And I think that they draw in people that might not necessarily have been here before. So I respect them for that, because it's all about growing the hobby, because then it's better for everybody. If you're in the business of the hobby and there's more people, it's like I said before, if there's $1 million total dollars of people to spend every year on sports cards, and if Backyard comes in or BLEZ comes in and they get new people, and all of a sudden there's now 2 million of people to spend, it's like now that actually helps everybody, because not everybody always has the product that you want. Like, you got to go to other, like, most people buy with multiple people. It's like you can't always find what you want in a certain spot, so you might have to go somewhere else to get it. And I think if people just get people in, make aware what's actually going on in the hobby and how great it is, that's what's most important to me.
There's never any beef between group breakers. There's never like any competition or, hey, you got so much, you got allocated this amount of product and I didn't get allocated this amount of product, or you broke on the Panini live stage and I didn't. Does that ever happen kind of behind the scenes amongst breakers?
I mean, honestly, for me, it's like I just stay in my lane a lot of the time. I don't know if like people hate on me or hate on BLEZ, but I mean, people obviously hate, but I kind of just like put my head down and like to focus on what's going on. I don't have any beef with any other breakers. I don't know if they have beef with me and they just don't like say it in front of my face. But to me, it's like I don't see that approach like what you're saying. It's like, oh, break in the national stage or whatever, get early releases or get whatever. It's like because someone's going to get it on the next one. It's you can't just it changes in the industry. It's like something that happens today, you might get that opportunity in a month from now. So it's like there's no reason to be jealous of anyone else, or it doesn't make any sense to me.
What about the allocation of product? We've seen Fanatics, come in and acquire Tops. At some point, they're going to get the MLB and the NBA and the NFL license. As a breaker, have you seen your ability to acquire products, the products you need to break, change over the last, I guess, 6 months? And I guess going forward, how do you see that with Fanatics? And is it going to be a struggle or a problem, or business as usual, being able to get products as a breaker?
I mean, to be honest, I think it's a little bit early. Like I don't really it's pretty early with that situation, but I don't really buy product for BLEZ. It's more of my brother's, so I don't really know like what goes on with the allocation and stuff. I'm more of like do marketing, do content, break, and have a good time, and I let them kind of handle that stuff because I believe that if you're trying to scale and grow a business and do a lot of different things, you need different people who do different things well, and I think you got to let them just do it and stay within their lane. And that's kind of like what I do with BLEZ. It's like I like to do content. I like to break. My brother likes to buy product. It's like I'll leave that to him and let him do it. And just I trust him.
You spent speaking of content, you spent some time with Jeff Wilson. What do you think of him? I know that you went to his studio. What do you think of the sports card investor Jeff Wilson, just as a person and being around him?
I mean, to be honest, it's like when I watch sports card content, because I watch a lot of content, it's like I think his videos are interesting. I think that I like watching his videos because I also think that he grows the pie of the people in the hobby, because a lot of people, when they go to YouTube, they're going to go to his channel first. So I think that he does a good job of keeping like an image of how positive sports card content should be portrayed. So I mean, I know you guys might have some problems with him, but I don't have any problems with him. I think he's a good guy, and I think he helps grow the hobby. So I don't know much about. I mean, you guys. I don't know.
Did you watch the PPP? Did you watch the videos about the PPP or anything?
I've seen a couple.
Well, what do you think? Regardless of that, what do you think about, Jeff Wilson's a guy that have spent $500,000 on some cards, $100,000 on some cards that have really declined in value. So, younger or newer collectors go there to see that. What do you think about that? This maybe the overly positive content, or guys who spend money maybe seemingly out of nowhere on cards? Is that a good reflection on cards?
The thing is, you guys don't know like the timeline of when they're selling or what they're doing. They say they're buying these cards, but you guys don't know. I'm not saying you guys, I'm saying like the public. Like no one really knows when someone's buying or selling. Like I'm very transparent with my stuff. I say I'm buying Franz Wagner and not selling him, and that's what's going on. If I decide to sell Franz Wagner, I'm going to talk about it because I want people to know what I'm actually doing. But a lot of people like flippers and stuff. I don't know if he's a flipper or not, but a lot of people will like say they're buying, but they won't necessarily say they're selling. But I know that people sell. So it's like, if you're not going to put an end to the timeline of when, like, so what if these cards go back up in 2 years? It's like, now are you guys going to start saying that, oh, he bought these cards and now all of a sudden he's up? It's like, to me, you got to put an end to the timeline of when it actually matters, because you don't. It's like if someone's going to talk about a card that someone bought 8 months ago, so much has changed within that 8 months. So you can't really pinpoint what, like, if they still have those cards or not.
I guess somebody who, speaking about Jeff, who calls himself, the sports card investor. I mean, maybe you're very open and transparent about your buying and selling. Why do you do that? Are you just trying to be an honest guy, or why are you specifically honest and transparent about what you're specifically buying and selling?
I mean, I just believe that the world is becoming way more transparent with social media, and it's like I'm not a man that wants to hide anything. I want to keep it all out there because it's like people are going to find out what you're doing anyway. So it's like you might as well just be honest up front and tell people, because it just doesn't make sense. It's like I could very easily go by someone, not talk about him, then start talking about him, and then probably he'll go up a little bit like Franz and sell him. But if I do that, I'm going to explain my reasoning behind why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I just believe in, like, I don't know. I just believe if I'm like open and transparent, it helps other people. I'm not like a biased person, even towards myself. It's like I really just want to help people because I see myself as someone who, especially with the modern cards, I know a lot. And it's like I want to help people not make the same mistakes that I did when I was coming in. I want to help people skip 4 or 5 steps and not lose in those 4 or 5 steps, because from what I know, if someone has a bad first experience with sports cards, they're likely to get frustrated. They're likely to stop buying cards. And I want to do everything in my power to prevent that. So that's why I'm open. That's why I'm transparent, because I don't want people making the same mistakes that I did. I want people to succeed in this hobby, even if it's on a small scale. I just don't want people to get buried in this industry, because that's not the true colors of the industry. I know people will love it if they find it. We just need to expose more people to the industry.
Well, how do we do that? You seem, you love the industry. You're very positive about it. How do we get more people involved in the industry? Fanatics, you were at the conference. You probably know they want to 10X the industry, or whatever that means. How does that actually happen?
I mean, for me, on a small scale, it's like anywhere I go, I'm talking to the person who I'm interacting with about cards, because that's my life. So I like to share like what's going on. But I think Fanatics is going to do it. I think we've already seen it. Like if you look at their Topps' content, if you look at some of the promotions they're doing, it's stuff that hasn't been done in the past. And I think that it's very good. Like the MVP buyback program with Goldschmidt and Judge. It's like you could buy Topps Chrome Sonic, which is a $75 box. And if you get a Judge or a Goldschmidt base, your box is now only $55. So it's like, the fact that they're doing these things where it's just creating buzz, like Julio Rodriguez, he did a ton of content with Topps recently. And it's like stuff like that wasn't necessarily done in the past. And if it was, it wasn't done to the level that Fanatics is going to do it. So in my opinion, it's going to take time. It's going to be kind of a snowball effect. It's going to take some time. But I think that as time goes on, more and more athletes get into this. More and more celebrities getting into this, because let's say a famous celebrity sees Julio Rodriguez like doing all these things with cards, it might register in their head that this is now like way cooler than I thought it was. The industry is actually a massive industry with a ton of people, cool people in it, and it's like it's just a slow and steady growth forward. And I think it's going to take some time, but I think that eventually we're going to see the hobby with a lot more people than it has today.
What else you got for our boy CBLEZ, Colin?
Well, there's a lot of requests for you to remove your shirt, but I'm not going to do that. But I think I told you about 30 minutes. We're on for 40. Anything else for the faithful of both Team CBLEZ and Team SCR tonight?
From the audience or from me?
From you, like anything else that you want to share with everybody, maybe places for people to find you. I know you travel around the card show circuit. Do you have any, an upcoming schedule where maybe people can either maybe catch a deal with you, catch a dance move, or catch you and maybe your brothers doing work at one of these shows?
I'm definitely going to be at the Mint. I'm definitely going to be at the National. But besides that, I'm kind of like a last minute guy. Like, I haven't even decided if I'm going to Dallas yet. I'm probably not going, but
That started today, didn't it?
it's like it's tomorrow's like the real first
Tomorrow,
day.
okay.
But I decide at the end of at the like right before what I want to do, because the market conditions are very important to me, especially with my singles business. It's like if the market's at a certain spot, it might incline me to go to a card show at that moment, depending on what's going on. But I wanted to ask you guys a question. I noticed that recently you guys have been like more positive than before, kind of like pivoting a little bit. What's the reasoning behind that? And why before so negative? Like why do you guys take the approach that you do?
Well, I think this is our 15th year doing this. If you listen to the first couple of shows that we did, or first several years of the podcast we did, it was relatively positive. Then it took a turn, and then I think it kind of goes back and forth. I think this last year was really good timing. There was a lot of stories that just simply had not been told. There was a lot of new people coming back into the hobby. So the timing was good for it. And we were kind of more or less known for some of the scandal stuff, but nobody was really telling the story and presenting it in a way. It was all, cards are going up, cards are going to the moon. And then they started going down. And, we wanted to point out some of the stuff there. I think we've been in this long enough to understand that the drama comes in waves. And in some cases you can create the drama, but we were getting criticized all last year that we were too negative, too much drama, too much negativity. And then, the minute we start saying, hey, we're going to have some fun buying some cards, we'll go to a card show. It's, oh my God, you guys have sold out. You guys are, this, that, and the other. And I think you said something earlier, if you're getting too much praise, if you're getting too high on your own stash, then, maybe it's time to put it away for a little while. And look, if Jeff Wilson gets indicted on a PPP loan fraud, if there's an FBI investigation that involves, characters that we've either covered or prominent characters in the hobby, we'll do it. We get fed all kinds of information. There's some whatnot breaker taking this card, that, this breaker doing this. And at this point, it's like, we're our 15th year is basically a rock band. Do we really want to show up at the birthday party and play our 4 or 5 hits? At this point, we don't really want to do that. We're into kind of doing what we want to do. It's almost like sometimes you see these really rich men or women, I guess, too, and they do weird things with their money. And you're like, man, if I had that kind of money, I wouldn't do that. And so I think people see us and they're like, if I had that kind of audience and that kind of momentum with my channel, I would have never pivoted. I would have never done that. But the truth is, I have bigger YouTube channels than this. The truth is, I make way more money off of sports card radio than I do. I mean, I don't think I made a dime on sports card radio last year, in terms of profit, like serious profit. Okay. Ryan's got things going on in his life. He's got websites that are more popular. He's got things that he's doing. I hear about them. They're not really something that we can share on the program, but they involve Tinder and Bumble and those types of things in the after hours. So
there's one here now, so be careful. Be careful how loud you talk. Hopefully she's not watching. Hopefully my spot just now. Yeah.
Sorry about that. So it's like, I think it's just, it's the evolution of what we're doing. And, we certainly have taken criticism in the past. In fact, I think the more criticism we take, the more we tend to enjoy these things. It's actually an awkward situation when people are fans of ours. We prefer to be the person being booed, the person being hated. The audience tends to be about the same. The content gets the same amount of views. But yeah, we'll mix in some stuff where we're buying and selling trading cards. We've been buying and selling trading cards for over 20 years. And so it's just, we didn't share a lot of that because over the last 3 years, it wasn't worth buying a lot of cards. I mean, yeah, you could have bought some cards, but man, if you held them, you were going to be down on them. So just sharing a little bit more, a diversity of what we've been doing and just having fun with it. And, if people like it, they like it. If they don't, that's okay. Life goes on, and we have we're very fortunate to have many other things going on in our life at this point, not just a single YouTube channel. Although we do appreciate the support. Looks like we have 700 strong joining us with CBLEZ. Ryan, did you have anything else to add to that?
I want to respond to that.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So I respect the fact that you guys kind of like do what you want, and you guys like it's more about like what you're feeling, what you want to do. And the other thing is too, it's like I could tell from watching a couple of your videos that you guys truly love cards and you truly love the hobby. So for me, if you guys could just show that more, try to portray that more with your content, the fact that you guys like truly love cards, because I see a lot of stuff that it's pretty sharp. It's pretty sharp, but you guys know, like not many other people know that kind of stuff. And if you could kind of make more videos showing people that you actually like love cards a little bit more, that's something that I think a lot of people would appreciate. I know I would like that type of content. So I just want to say that.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think we're on a journey here. It's like, it's like a rock band, their first album's probably going to be pretty good. Their second album's going to be okay. But hey, that third, fourth, fifth album might not be that great. And so, I think, we're not going to be pumping out the hits all the time here on the program. And it's okay. We're okay with that. We've had a long history in this hobby. Like you said, we look at it primarily from the business angle and not necessarily the buy and hold kind of clutch the cards angle. And I think we need to get better at producing that content and presenting it. And over the next couple of months, hopefully that happens.
Yeah, that'd be great. That would be great.
For sure. CBLEZ, thank you for joining us on today's show. Very much enjoyed having you. You and I are connected on social media, and if you ever need anything, you know where to reach me. And if
which one of you runs like all the accounts?
I run Instagram for the most. I'm trying to get Ryan on it. I just can't figure out how to get a second person on an Instagram account.
We're old.
So, yeah. And then YouTube, I would say YouTube's actually primarily Ryan. Any kind of post or anything like that, unless I'm in the video, it's almost all him. He's mostly the Facebook. The Twitter account is mine. He's Sports Card News on Twitter. So on Instagram, you're talking to me usually.
Okay. I want to speak to the people watching for a second. I just want to say that as long as you guys love the hobby and you're learning and do what you believe. And to everybody, whatever you believe in, whatever you think is good content, whatever you want to follow, do what you truly believe in your heart. Don't go where people are telling you to go. In my opinion, there's a lot of people pulling people in different directions, not only in cards, but in life. And it's like, you want to do what you believe in, because ultimately at the end of the day, when you're sleeping at night or when you get old or whatever, you just want to know that like you did in your life what you believe in, and you really went for it, and you followed the people you like and stuff like that. So in my opinion, it's all about what you believe in. You got to do what truly makes you happy and what truly moves the needle for yourself, because at the end of the day, that's what's most important. So I think that as long as you guys share a passion for sports cards, I'm always going to love anybody who shares that passion, because it's done so much for me. I love the hobby, and I just want it to be the best place it possibly can. So I'm saying, I just want everybody to love the hobby and just do what you believe in, honestly.
I love it.
Love it, CBLEZ. Thank you for joining us tonight, and I'm sure our paths will cross later down the road, and you can guarantee I won't take my shirt off when we're dancing, but we will definitely have a dance off.
Is that okay?
Do it. Do it. Yes. The audience wants it. Yeah.
Got the abs.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Hey, he's ready for Santiago. I hope Santiago, if you're watching, You don't want any piece of
I
that.
hear. I think he's got a body off with Ken Golden at the National. I think.
Okay,
that's
here
probably
we go.
gonna
Is
happen.
that happening too?
That's probably gonna happen. I challenge.
Wait,
him.
what's this about? Wait a minute. Is this a real thing? Time out. What? One
Go
more
check
question.
the Instagram video. Go check
Okay,
the
I
IG
got it.
video.
I'll watch it. I'll
I'll
play
fill
a
you
clip
in.
of it.
I'll fill you in, Ryan. But
I called him out.
apparently, we will see both CBLEZ and 9-acre Ken Golden, or
Wow.
5-acre, 4.2 acre Ken
4.2.
Golden with his shirt off at the
Holy-
National, and we'll see who has the greater.
Only at the
Physique.
National.
Only
It's
at the
a physique
National.
challenge.
It's a physique challenge. Yes.
Holy Lord. Wow. I'm going to do a video on this actually tomorrow on Sports Card Radio.
It's a good video. Solid content.
I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank
For
you
sure.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, C-Blaz.
Thank you,
Thank you,
CBLEZ. We'll see you again
Thank you
soon.
to everybody watching. I'll see you guys. Peace.
Yeah, hit me
Appreciate
up
it.
anytime. We'll see you. All right, Ryan. We were joined
Okay.
by Mr. CBLEZ.
That's right. baby.
And what are your thoughts on Mr. CBLEZ? I think that's I've spoken to him privately and over the past couple of weeks. What were your impressions of Mr. CBLEZ other than he's looking okay with his shirt off?
I was, frankly, guys want the drama over here at Sports Card Radio. I was disappointed that the beef with Santiago was no longer.
Sure.
That has been patched up because, gosh, I would talk about fun. I mean, us two going to Vegas or Del Mar show, and these guys set up a ring and wear 20-ounce gloves and headgear, and we get to announce it live and get to interview both of them afterwards, have a pre-show. I mean, that would have been just spectacularly
Fantastic.
fun. So I'm disappointed that the beef is no longer because we feed off that and we live off that. So two influencers, a card shop owner and somebody like CBLEZ having beef. I mean, that's just something we run toward. I mean, I'm literally like shirt off sprinting to that action, trying to get a piece of that in some kind of way. So I'm disappointed that's no longer. I think we got, honestly, I could have talked to him about the card stuff and how he's managing that and the money flow and, all these cards on a spreadsheet. And I guess he gets I think he has the best deal out of all these BLEZ brothers. He doesn't have to work on this breaking business too much, it seems like, but the money flows in for him to buy some Franz Wagner's. So I like that business. I like that business arrangement for him. And I think what he does is interesting. I don't know if it's viable for a whole lot of people watching. It's certainly not viable for me. I couldn't have $50,000 in one guy. Maybe if his name was Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or, Franz Wagner is a nice player. Love watching him. Wish he was on the Lakers, but it's a risk because
You know how I feel about white basketball players. So not high on. I'm not.
He's
high
a nice
on
player.
He's
He's a nice player, but is he an MVP of the league? No. He mentioned Luka. He did mention Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic could win MVP of the league. I'm not sure Franz Wagner is a guy. I think Franz Wagner could play on a championship team. There's Wembanyama. What that Wembanyama stuff. I think Franz Wagner could be on a championship team, but I don't see him being the number one guy. Like in Orlando, that Paolo Banchero guy's number one. Franz is a very nice player. And Suggs is a nice point guard there. They got a bunch of nice young players there in Orlando. They'll probably add, maybe they'll get Wembanyama this year too. So it's tough for me. I think what he's doing is interesting though. What are your thoughts on CBLEZ?
Well, I think we had some tension early on, and it wasn't personal. It was just, I think he fired back on the backyard break stuff. I think most people, we don't really need to go over that because people know more or less how we feel about that situation. And, look, I think he's got a very rosy outlook on the whole thing. And, look, if you're in the business, if you're a breaker, if you're doing these types of things, yeah, I'd be rosy. I'd be kissing ass. I'd be, I would definitely be, on the positive side of things because that's what the whole business revolves around when it comes to maybe you're breaking or anything like that. So yeah, I'd be on the rosy side of things. And that's okay. I think our paths will cross again down the road, and we'll have some great discussions going forward. And I think CBLEZ is a cool guy. I don't mind him one bit, except when he takes his shirt off. That's a little much, but that's okay.
So wait, whoa. Him and Ken are going to take off their shirts at the National?
So apparently, I think CBLEZ was in a hot tub, shirtless. So I'm replaying like an Instagram video. So CBLEZ is shirtless in a hot tub, and then he challenges maybe Ken directly, or maybe Ken just got in the thread. I don't know, but he challenged Ken directly that let's take our shirts off at the National for a physique challenge, and Ken accepted. Ken said, "I'm in good shape. My wife's very happy about that, and I accept." And so apparently at the National, there'll be some kind of shirt removal. We've come a long ways. Who's judging? I would assume.
We don't know the specifics yet. I'll break it all down in a video for Sports Card.
We'll probably do it on some kind of video, but boy, we've gone from I'm going to train to beat somebody up to now Ken is going to fly in and CBLEZ is going to fly in, and they're going to take their shirts off and compare. So it's where the hobby is in 2023.
Is the hobby too positive? Has it swung back now the other way? We had all that lawsuit drama in December. We, people were just fiending for more drama. And now, the start of the year, it's been really slow. As somebody who's covered the hobby for many years, I anticipate a pretty slow year in the drama department. What do you think? Has it swung the other way? Is the hobby being too positive right now about things?
Well, there's things going on. I mean, can you withdraw from alt right now? Can you
No.
Have they resolved that situation? So there's stuff going on, and then there was that FBI thing that dropped today with those guys that were selling those. Is basically a continuation.
We've talked a lot about
story.
that. Yeah, you could literally watch our videos and you literally would clue in that was probably going to happen. But
sure. And things take a while to play out. Okay. Jeff has a 10-year statute of limitation on his PPP loan, and he has a mandatory audit. So I don't know if the mandatory audit has happened. My guess, based on how fast Washington moves, probably not. But if there's a 10-year statute of limitation on something and Washington could come after you, yeah, they're probably going to come after you. Would it be great if it happened this week, next week? Sure, it'd be great for the channel, be great for these live streams. I don't anticipate that happening. And, look, Jeff's a guy. Most of the people I'm just going to be 100% honest with people. We're an hour in here. We appreciate all the people all the super chats, all the fans tuning in. I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. The people I see getting busted for PPP loan don't look like Jeff Wilson. They're, like I see a dude that bought an Audi, bought a Rolex, and he's getting busted. Okay. It's looking like the guys that are from our hood in Stockton. Those are the guys getting busted for PPP loan. I don't know if they're setting those guys up first and then they're going to come after the white guys. But right now I'm not seeing guys like Jeff Wilson get put in handcuffs yet. And look, maybe it comes, maybe it doesn't, but look, we can't control these types of things. And, we could not put up content. We could just put up I got dipped out of a $50 card on whatnot. But look, there's other stuff going on, and we're showing, I think, we're showing our process here. Like this Derek Jeter card. We bought this last week for $275, $3 something with a buyer premium, sold it for $405 on eBay. And I think we made $9 on this one. Most people wouldn't even show this stuff. Most people show you like, oh, I bought this card at the bottom and I sold it at the top. We're literally showing you the stuff that we scraped together $9 on to show you, there's some realism here, and that, there's a journey to this type of thing. And, here's a card that we bought for $8, sold it for $20 on eBay, and, clicked a couple of buttons and made some money. So whether or not people enjoy that type of stuff, look, I don't really care. We're not on, you don't have to come into our eBay store and buy our cards, but it's what we're doing. I don't think the hobby's gone too positive. Boy, it was just when the cards were at the peak, people were just so positive on the industry. It was just going to go up. It was just, skyrocketing from here. So it's just natural when the card values and the interest. I was at Target today. You could have got Series 1 baseball. You could have got Prism. You could have got Chrome. There was like literally any product you could have got. It was sitting there ready to buy, and people were beating each other's up for this stuff, a year and a half ago. So in some way, look, the hobby just evolves and it changes. And, that's how I feel about it. I mean, are you gonna wake up tomorrow and put out our 8th PPP loan video?
We're an hour in, so we could, it's the real talk hour. So
Sure.
I would honestly, I mean, it would be amazing, honestly, if Jeff Wilson got indicted. Honestly, to be perfectly honest, with the, couple people we got watching, if that trial was in Georgia, your boy would be flying out there.
Yeah.
This would be a dream come true for me. Jeff Wilson walking into the courtroom, and then we like get a reaction from him. That's like the
You
first
would
time
probably
we actually
already
ever
be
meet
messaging his wife. I mean, we could go there, I guess.
Again, you're blowing up my spot over here. Like,
Oh, sorry.
Maybe we should. Yeah, I should have alerted you that I had company over here. So
Sorry.
you're blowing up my spot over here. You're all of a sudden I've turned into a playboy all of a sudden. So where was I? I would love to fly to Georgia and cover
Sure.
Jeff's PPP indictment trial. Love that. Hey, there was a dude that got indicted by the FBI today, 82 years old. He's involved in that prying open PSA cases, putting inferior cards, that card registry PSA lawsuit. Dude, he's one of the guys involved there. Hey, it'd be fun to go cover that stuff, but to me, again, we don't unfortunately we don't get to control that stuff. So
Right.
yeah, I love to see it happen. It'd be fun. We could create some amazing content. We thought about ideas like, what if Jeff Wilson, really did sue us? We'd create all this content of us on the courthouse steps and, 3 different camera angles of us going into the courtroom and just playing around and having fun with it. So hopefully some drama comes up, but I mean, I've been covering the hobby for quite a long time, and you see these years where there's a lot of drama that comes up, or you're able to replay old stories like we were able to do almost all of last year. A lot of the stories we told were old stories.
Years old.
Anything about Ken Golden happened when I was literally in my teenage years with him.
Yeah.
The stuff about Jeff Wilson, we knew about Jeff Wilson's PPP loan a year ago. Like, I knew that Jeff Wilson had 2 PPP loans a year before we made the video. So it wasn't like we found out information and we were just chomping at the bit to make a video. I think there was a couple Instagram posts. I think you talked about it for a minute in the video. And then once Jeff Wilson got on his couch and talked about it, the floodgates opened.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate, if there's an influencer, an auction house owner, or somebody that gets on camera and calls us jerk offs, I imagine I'll have the most fun I've ever had for a few hours editing in a video and, making fun of the person. So we're certainly, those things will be out there, the drama and stuff, but there's a lot of ways where we could cover us buying and selling cards. We're going to go set up a card show in a couple months. We've thought about I want to make those entertaining. I don't want to just put up videos where it's, oh, we're buying this, we sold this. No, I want to make it somehow entertaining. And that's going to take some time. That's probably going to be some flops along the way, but I could see some scenarios where we could make buying and selling sports cards and kind of us on the road doing things, us at a show doing things, us renting an office and having people come in and essentially sell us stuff, live. And I think we could present the content kind of really unique. And, at a card show, you're able to have all these other dealers around who some of these guys are real characters as we've seen. So getting them on camera a little bit with me in a way, I could see that and presenting their stories. So I think it could be a really fun year for us in terms of buying and selling. Did you win that? What'd you win? A comic book?
I won that. I paid retail for this. Conan.
Look at you buying $300 comic books.
I know. I don't know what I'm doing.
On Kenny's site.
First appearance of Conan and King
I don't even
Cole.
know who that is. I don't even, you're speaking a whole nother language to me. But
I have a comic book website, so I'm mildly familiar with
this
comic
is like
books.
when you go to the bar and you're sitting there and the girl's foreign. You're like in Vegas and there's a lot of foreign people.
Sure.
And you might be sitting there and she starts speaking French and you're just like,
sure.
just,
Yeah, I'm mildly familiar with the CCG CGC comic books and their grading and the different type of labels, the purple, the gold, the blue, the different types of grades, the importance of first appearance comic books. I paid up for that one. That's not a great price, honestly, but it's okay. This one went for a lot. This one went for $50. That's top of the mark. What we're seeing with Ken Golden auctions over the past couple of weeks is the word has gotten out that you can get some great deals over here, and the deals aren't quite as good. Certainly from a seller's perspective, I think the no fees, and then if there's more attention on this website from a selling perspective, probably a little bit better. I think we're going to have to pick our spots a little bit more when it comes to buying over here. Some of this stuff just going for the top of the mark. There are some cards ending next week. This Kate Cunningham I just pulled this up because it was just ridiculous. This is ending in 6 days. It's already at $1,700, like an original PMG. Stephon Marbury PSA 7. Just a beautiful card. Phil Mickelson ending at $1,200. I guess nobody cares he's on Live Golf because that's a strong price. And this was just a really cool card. I'd love to be a buyer of these types of cards. Maybe I shouldn't spend $300 on comic books. I should just pay another $300 for this type of. I love, like, if I could just buy only these types of cards, not Luis Robert in specifically, but like just this like one of one type stuff. I love cards like this. And look, maybe we should pay up for it sometime down the road. I know we got some super chats along the way here. They're hard to, we've got a producer in the background, but we got one from Bill here. Appreciate it. Got one from William as well. This guy says we should sell our own line of Card Show deodorant. That probably would sell relatively well. Philip, how much did Kenny G pay you guys to promote Golden? Hey, if Kenny's watching, my PayPal is open. At least 1 acre. Well, we'll take his 0.2 that he doesn't account for, or actually the 0.8 that he doesn't account for. Kenny has 0.4, what is it, 4.2 acres? So we'll take the 0.8.
So we'll take the 0.8.
We'll take the 0.8. We'll do this for 0.8. See you at the Mint, Chad. So hopefully you guys have fun at the Mint. Jello saying CBLEZ in the building. He wanted to shout out buddies Isaac and Nick. I know they're watching. Hopefully they still are. Philip, when did you guys turn into PBS? I feel duped. Well,
sorry, man.
Yeah, we've got different gears over here. Shout out to SER. You dip. That comes from Nando's Box Breaks. Appreciate that. Robert,
you won't
Smith
be saying that when Jeff gets indicted. You guys are going to be.
Oh my God.
You're going to love when we're still around. Trust to believe that.
And we have stories in the works. Okay, it's not like we've shut it down. We've got things in the works. We've got ex-wives. We've got attorneys. We've got,
Tops employees dipping. I mean, we got a lot of things going on.
We've got a former employees. We've got some stuff in the works, but let these things materialize.
There's going to be more FBI arrests and stuff. So a lot of these things, it just takes a lot of time.
Yeah. Consider this a concert. We started off with some hits, but we've got to, the concert would be over, if you went to even whatever, the greatest, like even a Pearl Jam concert and they rattle through their hits, you're looking at an hour show probably, but Pearl Jam, at least not I thought the last Pearl Jam show we went to wasn't very good, but the other Pearl Jam shows that we've gone to, they've gone on for like 3 hours because they got to play all these songs. And so that's kind of what we're doing. We're going to be playing a lot of songs here. Some of the songs are not going to be that good. They're not, and so, but we'll come back another time and maybe there'll be some bigger hits later on. Robert Smith for the card fund. Thank you. $20. Really appreciate it. Yeah, we've turned into PBS over here, Ryan. Like I said, we need some major dipping. We need some more PPP loan fraud coming across. And I would guess that stuff will materialize at some point, but it's just not, look, we can't pull the strings around here. And we run, we kind of move at the speed of Washington. I know we had some athlete news this week. We don't typically talk about sports, but we had a lot of firearm related athlete news over the past week or so. That certainly is going to impact people's John Morant. And I saw Sean Kemp. It looked like that was in self-defense, but he was, pulling the trigger as well this week. So, I tell you what, man, this sports card quote investing thing is obviously quite a bit difficult considering these athletes can pop off at any given time. We will ask the chat here
Oh,
I
no.
think this is one of the worst buys in the history of the hobby. We've got Colton Cowser. We've got 3 cards here, a PSA 10 that is numbered but not autographed. That's 2 of 10. We've got a 3 of 5 autograph, but this is like an insert. And then we have another insert, 8.5 sticker autographs. These are both sticker
Number 5
autographs.
pick in the draft, bro.
This is number 1 of 5. Ryan paid $961. He could have bought this card. He could have almost bought a Phil Mickelson. He ain't gonna buy that. He probably ain't gonna be able to get that. He could have bought 3 Victor Wembanyama cards.
Oh,
you could have bought 3 Victor Wembanyama cards. Instead, you bought 3 Colton Cowser. If there's anybody in the chat that is a fan and wants to bail us out of this purchase, you know how to reach us. sportscardshow@gmail.com, Sportscard Radio on Instagram, and Sportscard Radio on Twitter. Ryan is Sportscard News on Twitter. I think when I saw this last week, I almost threw up because I was like $961. That's like
what that guy paid for those cards. Like I could literally look up those cards. Like somebody paid a fortune for those cards.
That's called putting bad money after, good money after bad.
The guy literally the last card that's in an 8.5 was in a 9 holder, and the fucking idiot turned it into a fucking 8.5. I have no idea why. And I have no idea why people pay this money for these big time prospects, but hey, $300 a card. I don't think it's that bad.
I think that's one of the worst things ever.
Worst ones of all time.
That's a bad buy. It's a bad buy.
Well.
Luckily though, we have a little bit of a balance over at Golden. Available balance is $765. We sold some cards on eBay this week, which I showed. We sold this Jeter and made maybe $9. We sold this card. I think we made more on this card than we did on the Jeter. What we're trying to do is, look, you try to flip on Ken's site, but if it's moving, you come over here and list it on eBay, and some of this stuff is peeling off. And so we've just listed some stuff on eBay, and, we'll see how this goes going forward. Ryan, we've been live for an hour and 15 minutes. I haven't had dinner, but we appreciate everybody for tuning in today. Ryan, any last words for the SCR faithful who have stuck with us as we continue down our journey of selling out and being ass kissers of the hobby?
1,200 for coming for 300 skirts. It's going great over here, Alan. It's just, it's going great. You're witnessing, you're just, you're witnessing history over
when he
here.
puts it like that, it's depressing.
We'll see. We actually have done pretty well on the cards we flip, but most of those guys have been named Joe Montana and Derek Jeter and random soccer players that are easy flips. But just appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate CBLEZ for coming on. That's really nice of him. I think we literally have thumbnails where it has his face and it says like moron. So, shout out to anybody who's ever been in one of our thumbnails and is willing to, what's your guys' favorite Pearl Jam album? Mine is Vitology. I was a big fan in the early 20s, man. I would say my favorite Pearl Jam album is probably Yield or Versus. The funny thing about Pearl Jam albums is because
no code.
Yours is no code. Okay.
No code.
All 5 guys in the band write songs. So it's really, some of their albums are kind of clunky and they don't really fit well together. Whereas like Nirvana, Kurt Cobain wrote all the songs. So they all, the albums are kind of really unique. Pearl Jam's, it's kind of weird. Some of their albums are sometimes hard to get through all of them, except they're really early ones. But Yield for sure. And I think they're actually coming out with another album here, maybe in another 6 to 8 months. So I'm excited about that. So Black Hole Sun, Soundgarden. So the Soundgarden drummer is now currently the Pearl Jam drummer, Matt Cameron. So who we didn't actually see. That's why that concert we went to was a little rough. Matt Cameron wasn't there, and then Eddie, I don't know, drank too much the night before, and he was a little sick, so he had to dip off a couple times. So 10 is for sure. 10's one of the greatest albums of all time. I mean, of all freaking time. It's hard to top, what they did to start their career. I'm just very thankful that all those guys have somehow still gotten along and they're still making music. does it hit as hard as 10? Does it resonate as much? Are they as popular? Hell no. But yeah, 10, Pearl Jam 10 is literally one of the greatest albums of all time, in my personal opinion. So those songs are just incredible. Amazing. And those guys, Eddie and all those guys, Eddie didn't even know those guys. He flies up to Seattle and they make that album. I mean, Eddie had only known those guys for a couple of weeks. The other guys in the bands kind of knew each other, but they barely knew each other, and they make that album, and it's literally one of the greatest of all time. So what a story. Pearl Jam and all that 90s grunge rock music is just amazing. I'm going to turn some on right now. Colin, anything else for the faithful?
That's it, guys. We will see you again next Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. Thank you for our producer. And
thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Producer Tim in the background. We appreciate you, and we appreciate all of you guys tuning in. We'll be back again next week. I'll try to grab another special guest for the Thursday Night Lives. Thanks for joining us this week. Patch is coming in with $10 at the end. Did you have a rose gold? No, I have a yellow gold Sky Dweller. What did you sell and do you buy from the AD? So I sold a bat. I had a Batgirl. I bought that secondary. I have a great relationship with an authorized dealer. I can, other than the top end pieces, I can pretty much tell them what I want and I can get it. That is because I go in there and I buy a lot of jewelry and a lot of other higher margin stuff. The next thing on my list is just the green bezeled Submariner, which I think is called like the Starbucks or something like that. That is waiting for me when this business hopefully scales up and we're buying $300 comic books and $900 of players that we've never heard of. Hopefully these cards sell. And I think that's watch.
Better hit a home run today.
But I have a yellow gold Sky Dweller still. My wife still has a very nice watch collection. My wife still has very nice jewelry collection. Needless to say. So things are doing okay over here at Sports Card Radio. But things hopefully will get better as Ryan stops buying $900 prospects that no one's ever heard of. Thank you again for everybody tuning in. And next week, EVP indictments coming, but if not, we'll still be here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We're out of here.
What's going on with that PPP? You done a lot of talking, not a lot to see. Up in the millions like 2.3, but Jeff got it all, getting off scot-free. Try to talk tips like we talking about stock, but you're talking about men printed on called stock. When you open your mouth, I take it with a grain of salt, cause the market's down and you're a clown, it's all your fault. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson. Did you dip, Jeff? I think you dipped, Jeff. What you talking about? I don't think you dipped yet. Willie's doing shady shit like the GOBs, like his whole failed thing with them NFTs, taking money from the people to pay. Most of them are broke, but that's okay. He's getting money. Even better, tax-free. Loving all the stimulus from PPP. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit.